So I've been watching a lot of Golden Girls recently.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true.
I love it. It's a classic show about those four old ladies who live in Miami. You know them. Let's name them all together. Blanche, Rose, Sophia, and, yeah, that's right, Dorothy. I really enjoy it, and I've been watching a lot of it recently. And recently I came across episode 26 from season 2 called Empty Nest. Starts out normal enough. We're hanging out with the Golden Girls, and we actually meet these friends of theirs, their neighbors, George and Renee Corliss. Seems like it's going to be a fine episode. And then the Golden Girls sort of leave the Corlisses' house.
Well, let's go.
Come on, Sophia, we don't want to lose him. Bye-bye.
I better get to the office.
We're not done yet.
Couldn't it wait?
Well, no, it cannot wait. George, the kids are gone. You're never here. I have nothing to do anymore.
And we're just staying with the Corlisses. Man, they're going through this whole thing about how their daughter just went off to college and now they basically have to reevaluate their marriage because they now have an empty nest. Renee's very concerned about the state of their marriage and is actually willing to take some very drastic action. And George, who's a doctor, is kind of really blind to everything that his wife is going through. Eventually they resolve their issues and it all ends happily.
How about if I make it up to you right now?
How?
But it was bad. It was a really bad episode. And I'm just watching it. I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is wrong with this episode? And I mean, the most obvious answer is that the Golden Girls are absent for an odd amount, considering the show is called The Golden Girls. And then I figured out what I was watching. A backdoor pilot. So if you don't know, a pilot is basically, it refers to the first episode of a TV show. A backdoor pilot is when the pilot for the TV show is actually an episode of a pre-existing show. And it makes a lot of sense to do that on television, but it's also a huge risk because you could just end up alienating your typical audience, but you could also get something really solid. Empty Nest was not picked up. So this dummy has no idea what he's talking about. Not only was Empty Nest picked up, but it ran for 7 seasons and 170 episodes. Never became a show. This show was nominated for multiple Emmys and Golden Globes, and it has won each. And I feel like one of my biggest issues with it is they just stuck us with this couple for 22 minutes who have this kooky brother-in-law character who has multiple personalities, and they act like I'm just supposed to accept the reality that I'm existing in right now, but these characters have never been on the show before. So it's a backdoor pilot, but it's not even a spin-off. And I just thought that was very strange. There are a lot of really great spin-off shows. In fact, one of my favorite shows about this guy right here. It's The Flash, and it's a spin-off of Arrow. But The Flash has a regular pilot, not a backdoor pilot. Even though a portion of an episode of Arrow is reused in the pilot of The Flash, it's still its own thing. There is, however, in the final season of Arrow, a backdoor pilot for a show that would have been called Green Arrow and the Canaries, had it been picked up, but it wasn't. This one, I got right. Backdoor pilots are risky. Didn't work out for the Empty Nest. The real question is, why did I feel the need to keep doubling down on this blatant lie that didn't work out for Green Arrow and the Canaries. You're probably thinking, I read the title, I saw the thumbnail. What does this have to do with anything? It's a good question. So, Scooby-Doo,
where are you? We got some work to do now.
So, there's this show, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Started in 1969. Nice. It follows Mystery Inc., a group of 4 teenagers, Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and their somewhat talking dog, and they go around kind of all over the country encountering monsters and ghosts and ghouls, as you do. Get chased around by them, and eventually realize that they're usually some sort of small business person who's been influenced by the evils of capitalism. I love Scooby-Doo. And it's existed in many incarnations since that original 1969 show, to this day. But there's something that I really love about Scooby-Doo, and that's the movies, and not the ones that were in theaters. Some of those are fine, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about their straight-to-DVD movies. I love them. There's so many, there's countless of them. And I really wanted to look at the first ones, which actually would not have even have been straight-to-DVD movies. They would have been Scooby-Doo television movies. Scooby-Doo existed solely in the TV show format for basically the first decade of its existence, until it actually got its first television movie in 1979. And that is a movie by the name of Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. And in it, Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. And it's a movie. So when I sat down to watch this movie, the first thing I noticed is that it's not a Scooby-Doo story, really. Well, it actually starts off really nicely. And then you see a crew, and the director yells,
Perfect! Cut it! Print it! That's a tape!
And you realize, in this story, Scooby, Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, and Velma are not mystery solvers, but they're actors on a show.
I'm not sure I understand my motivation in this next scene, Velma.
Come on, Daphne. How much motivation do you need to run from the crabby creature of Creepy Crag?
Kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or the new Chip and Dale movie. And that could be interesting. So let's see how they do.
Like what did he say, Scoob?
That's a tape.
A take, finally.
Hi, Shag. Scoob? Oh, it must be time for our scene.
Do you know how many times we've been put through this barrel and catapult routine?
How many?
Like, well, a lot. That's how many.
So the whole plot of this film is basically that Scooby wants to branch out as an actor, and he does not want to be typecast as the goofy comic relief in the mystery show. Well, that's not exactly true. Scooby's actually very happy where he is, but Shaggy is not happy. And Shaggy in this movie is a snake. He's a dirty, dirty snake who just manipulates his supposed best friend for his own purposes. And he starts by getting in Scooby's ear, telling him that he's not getting what he's worth, even though Scooby is perfectly happy where he is.
You're a star too, Scoob, and you don't have a flashy car like that.
I don't?
No, you don't. And you don't have a big dressing trailer like the Groove.
I don't?
And you don't get flowers on the set like Cherie.
I don't?
And another thing, when was the last time you got lunch served to you on silver platters?
Never.
Never! Like exactly!
And then there's a musical number. A long musical number in which Shaggy sings for a while.
You better move over, you better watch out. A new name is coming to holler about. We're telling you, we're coming through. The name to remember is Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo!
One eternity later.
The name to remember.
Yep.
The name to remember.
What's his name again?
The name to remember is Scooby-Doo.
Don't forget to remember Scooby-Doo.
Did not know this was going to be a musical, but I guess it is. But after that, Shaggy and Scooby roll up to the network president's office, CJ, and basically tells him that Scooby's not happy and they're ready for something new. CJ just laughs this off. He doesn't believe it because it's Scooby-Doo. So Shaggy decides to go off and shoot a pilot with Scooby-Doo. A pilot that he somehow made without getting it greenlit or funded by the network. I guess he just had the money and the resources to do so. And it's about Sheriff Scooby in the Old West.
What, do you really think we can capture this guy, Sheriff Scooby? Jess Rotten looks pretty tough.
Don't make me laugh.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
I don't know why. Something that I was also starting to realize by this point in the film is that it looks bad. It looks very bad. Like, I know Scooby-Doo, especially the original Scooby-Doo, is kind of known for the cheap Hanna-Barbera style of animation, but like, wow. I'm gonna have nightmares from this movie. Just every time I close my eyes, I see so many haunted, cursed Scooby-Doo faces. But he brings in the pilot and he shows it to CJ, and CJ he's horrified because he's scared that his big star is going to start doing things that he has no business doing.
What do you think?
I don't believe it.
Hey, did you hear that, Scoob? CJ thinks it's unbelievable.
Oh boy, he loves it.
That's your starring tomorrow.
While all this is going on, Daphne, Fred, and Velma obviously eventually hear about what Scooby and Shaggy are planning, and they are not in favor of it.
You're leaving the show?
You're kidding.
Jinkies, jinkies, jinkies.
That's right. I'm leaving.
Like starting right now, his career is taking a turn for the better. Like, I'm sorry, Scoob.
I don't get it, Scooby. What's your problem?
Just keep that in mind. So Shaggy and Scooby go to shoot another pilot. And in this pilot, he's roller skating with this other actress who is doing it for free, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know how they got another pilot greenlit so fast. Once again, without the president of the network knowing. Fine, who cares? And so Scooby's good at rollerblading, I guess.
Hey, look at us! We're skating! Turn, Scoob, turn!
But still kind of clumsy. The rest of the gang is actually very concerned.
Looks like Scooby's serious about this new career.
Yeah, but we gotta stop him before he makes a fool of himself.
Which is weird because they were fine with him making a fool of himself as long as they were making money off it. But hey, whatever, fine. Who cares? Then they go to CJ and they show him the pilot. Wait, not that pilot that they were just shooting. They actually show him an entirely different pilot that they shot at some point. And it's also at this point that I realized all of these pilots are parodies. The first one was a parody of Gunsmoke. The second one, no idea what I was looking at, but now we get a parody of Happy Days. But instead of the Fonz, we get the groove. And another song sung by the Groove about how Scooby is a scoopy doopy groovy doobie dude. I don't know. It was long.
Nice, just a Ruby Doo guy, a Ruby Doo, Scooby Dooby, you be cool guy.
He's just a Ruby Doo guy, a Ruby Dooby Scooby Doo guy.
A Ruby Doo, Dooby Doo, Dooby Doo, Dooby Doo.
Put them all together means cool. Is cool.
I'm really cool. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
CJ's not happy.
Well, excuse me, I'll just be a moment.
Honestly, it goes on like this for a while. We basically just get a series of pilots, which are all parodies. There's Superman and Charlie's Angels. It goes on for a while. Until CJ meets up with Daphne, Fred, and Velma to devise a plan to bring Scooby back to their show. And it starts by holding auditions for a new dog.
Oh, Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Hootman!
They don't
It
have
is the
auditions
crabby
for a
creature
new
of
Shaggy.
Creepy Crag. How was
I
that?
think that's very interesting.
Not bad
It's
at
almost
all. In
like
fact, that was very good.
in this world that they built, Shaggy sucks, and everybody
Can we have
knows
the
it,
next
so
dog,
they're not
please?
even necessarily trying to replace him. And I just think that's kind of
You scared my brother.
But Shaggy, who this whole time basically acts as Scooby's agent, sees this casting for new dogs and takes it to mean,
Since we know that you, hired a replacement, we figured you're serious about making Scooby a primetime star.
plan backfired, to say the least. CJ is not happy, because he wants what we all want, Scooby-Doo. I clicked on a Scooby-Doo movie, and that's not what I'm watching. I just wanted Scooby-Doo. I feel just like CJ.
Scooby, what's that get-up you're got up in?
I'm a magician.
A magician? Hey, I love magic. Can I be your assistant?
Sure. Look inside this box.
Me? Step inside there?
It's okay. I'm a pro.
Oh, I know you're a pro, but this is my first time. This is my first time.
After a bunch of parodies, in which there's another song number that I don't even know what it's a parody of, but it's just a long, terrible song about being in love with Scooby-Doo. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to listen to any single piece of music again without getting PTSD from this movie.
Oh, I wanna love you, Scooby.
Ooh, I hope so.
I think you wear your tail too long, and wow, are those ears big. Other things about you, Scoop, I don't really dig.
I hope those claws on your front paws are not too sharp, and please, if you ever scratch my back, don't scream if you find fleas.
I gotta have some time to make my mind up.
So it was a good run. Music, You and I. So many amazing tunes. Never again. Because it'll make me cry. Because of Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood.
I gotta have some time to make my mind up. Gotta be sure I like what I can see. I gotta have some time to make my mind up.
So finally, Scooby goes on to a talk show to announce this new career path that he's going on. And that is what finally puts an end to the madness, because his legion of fans see this interview and they are heartbroken. And they all march down to the network headquarters to profess their love for Scooby. To which Scooby, with a very terrifying expression on his face, cries and finally feels the love. Even though, I'll reiterate, in the beginning of this film, he wasn't feeling like he was lacking any love or admiration. That all came from Shaggy. But Scooby decides to stay on the show. Happy ending. Shaggy does actually try to pitch shows for himself at this point, though. They really just doubled down on him being kind of a dick. There are also more knockoffs. I think it's very clear that in the context of the movie, all of the pilots that they're pitching, I think they're all supposed to be, in the context of the film, knockoffs of the shows that actually existed. So Shaggy's also probably just trying to get sued.
Like, I just thought you might like to take a look at my pilot, CJ. Mork and Shaggy, huh? Oh, welcome back, Shaggy, huh? Shaggy and Hutch? Hey! Like, wait for me, guys! Wait for me!
Scooby-Doo!
When I was a little kid, I used to watch so many Scooby-Doo movies on Boomerang and Cartoon Network, and I loved them. So I thought it would be very interesting to watch the first one. I hate myself. Velma, Freddy, and Daphne are, first off, barely in this. And I know in original Scooby-Doo they were kind of boring. But they worked to balance the madness that came with Shaggy and Scooby, and there was no balance. It was just a bunch of chaos and parodies and songs. And bad animation. Creepy, off-putting animation. And modeling, and thought I heard a cursed Scooby behind me. This wasn't very good. And the fact that it's also filled with a bunch of contemporary references probably makes it even worse. But I'm also pretty sure that some of the references in this movie were dated when they came out. As I was watching this, I was trying to think, if I was a child in 1979, would I enjoy this? If I was an adult in 1979, would I enjoy this? And I don't think I would have. I didn't like this. But at least I know that it can't get any worse.
Very scary, legendary Boo Brothers!
Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers. So this one came out in 1985, 6 years after the last. There was actually a lot of change to Scooby-Doo on TV at that point. There was a lot of retooling to try to keep things fresh. You know, there was the slow phasing out of Fred and Velma, so then it was for a while Shaggy and Scooby and Daphne. Then they introduced Flim Flam and Vincent Van Ghoul. They're not in this. But who is Scrappy-Doo. Daphne's also gone, so it's just the three of them, Scooby-Doo, Scrappy-Doo, and Shaggy, for the next 3 movies.
Power! Ta-da! Oh God, he's peeing on me. Ooh.
If you know, you know. So this one actually starts out more like Scooby-Doo. There's actually a mystery to be solved, which is really nice. So Shaggy's uncle dies, and in his will, he leaves Shaggy a plantation. A southern plantation. A southern plantation. So Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy all drive down to to this plantation. They're not driving the mystery machine. It's a different van for some reason. So that's interesting. And we get this whole intro music sung by this witch about how scary the Boo Brothers are and how she wouldn't want to mess with them. Not gonna lie. It's straight fire. It is. I can't deny it.
I scare goblins, ghosts, and ghouls, spooky owls or bats. Grown-up folk and little kids, I even scare my cats. But one thing frightens me so exceedingly. I hope I never see the Boo Brothers.
But it doesn't really fit the content of what you're seeing at that point in the film. So it does feel a little out of place, but I guess it's just supposed to be almost like a theme song for the movie. But immediately as they start approaching this plantation, they're already encountering spooks and ghouls and gorillas. Gorilla. There's a gorilla. Okay. Or an ape. Whatever. Same thing. Primates. Big primates. Big primates that aren't Shaquille O'Neal. We see a ghost of Shaggy's uncle. Just to be clear, Shaggy at this point, alright, so in the original continuity, Shaggy's a teenager. He's about 17 years old in the original show. In this one, he owns a house, he lives by himself, so you have to assume he's in his 20s. Fine. He's in his 20s, and it's 1985. And we see the ghost of his recently deceased uncle. Maybe it's his great uncle, but he's a Confederate soldier. What the fuck?
Go! Go! Go back! Leave this place!
So, right, as they're driving, they have some car troubles, get pulled over the police. You know how it goes. Southern cop. The word boy comes out of his mouth just a little too easy.
What's the trouble, officer?
Trouble? Oh, no trouble. Just a matter of proceeding down the highway in a wantonly reckless and irresponsible manner. Let me see your license, boy.
They finally get to the plantation, and they encounter his uncle's butler, who's really bitter with Shaggy because he feels like he's entitled to the fortune and the land that was left behind by Shaggy's uncle. This butler's name is Farquaad. Like Lord Farquaad, but not Farquaad. Not that Farquaad. Though he is also short. But he's not like a little person, he's like a hunchback. Whatever, it's Farquaad. If nothing else makes you laugh in this movie, that should do it. So,
Who knows where this Farquaad guy is?
So there's already a mystery, or at least confusion. There's said to be ghosts around. There's a gorilla around that's apparently the ghost of a gorilla that Shaggy's uncle killed. Except at the same time, there was also a bunch of escaped animals from a circus, one of which is a gorilla that the sheriff is supposed to be tracking down. So is it a ghost or is it just the gorilla from the circus? It's obviously the gorilla from the circus. Also, the gorilla seems to have a crush on Scooby. Just thought that was interesting. Love is love. Love is love. We start seeing a lot of different ghosts. There's a skeleton, and then there's like the actual Confederate ghosts. What the fuck?
Leave this place! Leave this place!
And my first thought was, this is a lot. And then we also have the side characters. We have the sheriff, who's definitely racist and is 100% shot an unarmed black teenager in his day. You can't tell me different. And then you have Farquaad. His name is Farquaad. And then you have the redneck neighbors, of which there is implied to be a large family, but we only ever see two members, siblings, who don't have a romantic relationship with each other. So this movie is already destroying stereotypes. The sister is in love with Shaggy, despite not knowing Shaggy. She actually assaults him quite a few times and just throws herself at him. It's disturbing.
How about lips on a girl, honey?
Hey! Like yuck!
And the brother, alright, so they don't really defy stereotypes at this point. He is not jealous. He's not jealous of Shaggy. That'd be gross. He just doesn't like, because that's his sister. That's all it is. It's not jealousy. It's not jealousy, okay? It's not jealousy. It's not jealousy. That's gross. It's not jealousy. So he spends the whole movie trying to kill Shaggy. Legitimately. He's firing a gun at him. He's legitimately trying to murder him in cold blood. Would also like to note that he is constantly firing at the sheriff too, and the sheriff keeps saying, "You're gonna get a warning, boy, or a citation," and it's like, he's shooting at you and you're gonna give him a citation. You're a very bad cop. Whatever. I wonder if that's important. It's a tease, a little foreshadow. It is actually important. It's like, it's not something you could ever deduce while watching it, but in hindsight, it's somewhat of an explanation as to why he's such an inept police officer. Eventually, Shaggy and Scooby are just overwhelmed by all of these ghosts. I'm not going to mention him a lot, by the way. Maybe I will. But Scrappy's there the whole time. Scrappy's there. You know Scrappy. He's a small puppy. He's Scooby's nephew, and he's brave. And he thinks that Scooby's brave, but he's not. That's his whole thing. And a lot of people in the Scooby-Doo fandom, in the Scooby-Doo fandom, hate Scrappy-Doo. They just do.
Wow, I haven't seen...
Look away, Daphne. We all promised each other that we would never speak of him. Not ever.
But Scooby and Shaggy are just overwhelmed by all the ghosts. So they go through the newspaper, the want ads, looking for somebody to help them with their ghost problem. They don't call the Ghostbusters, which I'm also just realizing this movie came out a year after the Ghostbusters, so that was probably part of the reason why they made the movie like this. But they do call the Boo Brothers, who advertise themselves as amazing at trapping ghosts. So they call them up.
Hello? Is this the Boo Brothers? We got a job for you. Could you come right over?
Why, certainly, pal. Mercy, Monsieur? What's this Mercy Monsieur stuff? This is a French telephone. Amusing, huh? Yeah, real snappy. Hey, Miko, what's keeping you? I'm stuck. Well, I'll unstuck you.
Hi there! We're the Boo Brothers at your service!
When am I gonna wake up from this nightmare?
They're the Three Stooges. Like, they're not the Three Stooges, but they are. You know what I mean? Like, here.
What do you mean you can't find it? Give me that. Don't do that! Shut up. Ooh! Thank you!
So there's going to be quite a bit of that throughout the movie. I hope you look forward to it. But there's still this mystery. So basically, the colonel, I think he was a colonel, the Confederate colonel. Like, alright, I guess that a plantation is an interesting enough place to set your mystery and the sort of scavenger hunt that has to happen, but like, it's 1985. How could he have just, whatever. Anyway, Shaggy's uncle left a series of clues and riddles for Shaggy to slowly peel back the layers and eventually find this massive fortune.
It's a diamond!
Like jumping gemstones! Maybe there is something to this family jewels business.
There's something else in here. It looks like a letter.
It says, "Dear Shaggy, knowing your appetite, I thought this would be the best place to hide this message and this jewel. It is only one of many in my fortune, which I hid to keep them away from my enemies. To find the next clue to their hiding place, go outside. Then look for the part of the house with its knee out."
With its knee out? I don't get it.
Yeah, like I don't get it either, Scoob. But let's go out. Let's go out and see what we can find.
This movie is 90 minutes long. There's a lot of clues. Like every time you're like, oh, this is the last one. No, there's another one. And another one. And another one. But don't worry, it's broken up by the Boo Brothers occasionally showing up and like messing with Shaggy and Scooby and then each other.
Blah! Blah! Pretty terrifying, huh?
Trico!
Yeah! How'd you like my Green Ghoul imitation? It's a riot at parties! No, 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 no!
This movie's called The Boo Brothers, but they're not in it very much. And they have no significant bearing on the plot. Just want to point that out. If I get to Zombie Island, this is going to be so worth it. I swear to God. Next time. Maybe. Maybe. Skipping ahead, they eventually find the last clue. It turns out that the various ghosts that they've all been seeing have all been, no, not Farquaad. It's been the sheriff?
The sheriff! Somebody call me!
Huh? Like, wow, so this guy is your brother.
Yep, my flagship brother, TJ, likes to swipe at toe cards and impersonate ghosts and me.
It's been the sheriff, except it wasn't the sheriff, it was the sheriff's twin brother the whole time. That's presumably why he was bad at being a cop and never actually arrested. I'm gonna call him Billy Bob, the redneck brother. I don't know for certain that's his name, but I think it's Billy Bob. And I know it sounds like I'm making a joke, but if that is his name, I think that gives you an idea of how lazy this movie is.
Was that a Beauregard I seen sparking with you?
Sure was, Ain't he cute?
I show him cute.
Oh, you stop that, Billy Bob!
But yeah, that's the twist. I'm pretty sure Shaggy ends up just giving most of the money to Farquaad or something. It's a blur. The gorilla or an ape was the escaped gorilla or ape or whatever, obviously. There's a bear. There's a bear. There's a bear. There is a moment where I thought Billy Bob straight up died for a second.
Guess I'm just about too smart for you.
And he didn't. But I thought he did. And then Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy leave, having solved the mystery. In this trio dynamic, Scrappy kind of fills the role of Fred, Velma, and Daphne in the sense that he's danger prone like Daphne, essentially the leader like Fred, and he basically figures it out like Velma. But he's just Scrappy.
He's peeing on me!
So I mean, this movie is at least a mystery, unlike Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. And it's better animated. Of course, we're in the era of Scooby-Doo where Shaggy wears the red shirt and jeans, so if that means anything to you, that's I mean, it feels more Scooby-Doo than the last one, but it's still not quite Scooby-Doo. And why the Confederate? Never explained it. Of course, this movie wasn't bold enough to do Slave Ghost, but if you want a spec script, Warner Brothers, hit me up. There are actually a few moments throughout this, though, where it's not that it's animated poorly, but sometimes Scooby becomes a little over-expressive and he's almost a little cursed. Almost. Not quite. Close. But overall, it's whatever. It's not bad exactly. No, it's bad. It's bad. It's definitely not good. So they got a new car in this one. I don't know who's paying for these. But we're finally getting a little peek behind the curtain of the life that is Shaggy. We find them on the way to Shaggy's new job as a gym teacher. I guess he has qualifications for that. He becomes a gym teacher at an all-girls school. Except, no, it's an all-ghouls school. School. So you see where the comedy comes from? Because it's a bunch of little monsters. And then Shaggy and Scooby are like scared for a while. Then they're not, because they get old after 90 minutes. Well, they're kind of still scared. Whatever. So they're there. It is actually an all-girls. It's an all-girls Ghoul School. You got Dracula's daughter, the Wolfman's daughter, Frankenstein's daughter. Not Frankenstein, it's Frankenteen. I thought that just the daughter was named Frankenteen because she's a teen, but no, then the dad, he's also Frankenteen. And I don't know, thought it was strange. There's the mummy's daughter, and there's a ghost girl. Who I want to note this. Like the Boo brothers, it doesn't seem like she died. It seemed like she was always a ghost, like she was born a ghost. And I thought that was strange. I also just remembered what happened at the end of Boo Brothers. Shaggy and Scooby gave everything to the Boo Brothers because they were orphan ghosts. I don't understand what that means. I know I should be past it, but like, they're orphan ghost. So like their ghost parents double died? Or does it mean that maybe they were actually human at some point and their parents are alive? Ooh, that's I don't know. The other thing is they didn't seem like children, so like, I guess technically anybody who loses both their parents is an orphan, but I think when we're saying orphan, we mean a child. Whatever. Anyway, so those are all the ghouls, all the girls, and they have this headmistress. And there's a little, like a school pet, who's a little dragon, who doesn't like Scooby at first. He's always burning things. He actually just completely incinerates the helmet of Night Armor. He like turns metal into ash. Okay. So the reason they need this new gym teacher, by the way, no other teachers, we don't actually see them learn anything aside from physical education. But the reason they need this gym teacher is because there's a school that they're in competition with. It's this all-boys cadet academy that is basically right next to the Ghoul School. Ghoul School does sound cool coming out of your mouth, I have to give it to them. But they have this annual competition, this annual volleyball competition, and they always lose, and they're sick and tired of losing, so they hired Shaggy as a new gym coach because he's definitely qualified, I guess, but because he runs a lot, I guess, so that they could finally beat them. And there's a long series of different things that Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy do to basically inadvertently train the girls.
Remember, exactly what I was thinking.
We'll be in great shape when we play those cadets in volleyball.
But all the while, we keep cutting to this witch, I guess, named Revolta.
I, Revolta, the witch of the web, will be the most powerful witch.
And her henchman, Creeper.
It was a good thing I dropped my Venus spy traps into Grimwood's garden.
Who's constantly watching these little girls.
You can't escape the grim creeper.
Watching these little girls. Think about that. Though no, Creeper does remind me a lot of a Minecraft Creeper. It's bizarre. But they're constantly watching these girls, and basically they want to abduct them. They want to kidnap the ghouls. It's kind of heavy stuff for Scooby-Doo. But before any of that happens, they have the volleyball competition. Boy, the cadets, they cheat. They cheat a lot. They have super advanced technology for some reason. Like, they're able to put a device into the volleyball that they can control. They can just totally control how the ball moves.
Not unless this battery runs out. It's all mine! Huh? I'll save it, Winnie. Oh, what a backspin.
They have a lot of just random advanced technology, and it's odd. They cheat like crazy, but the ghouls also kind of cheat, but like, I guess it's okay. But like, no, the cadets, like, they cheat, like they cheat. They cheat, like they full Tom Brady. But they lose because the ghouls had Scooby on their side.
Pull a trigger, kill a nigga, he's a hero. Get it back to the kids who the hell cares. One less.
And the ghouls win.
That's out, Colonel, and so are you. Grimwood wins.
You were fantastic, Coach.
Like it was nothing, really.
I believe we get the trophy this year, Colonel Calloway.
There must be some mistake. I won't hand it over.
Thank you, Colonel.
Movie over. No, movie not over. So then there's an open house, and all of the ghouls' parents, just realizing all of them, it's just their fathers. Every single one of them, only their father shows up. There's the Wolfman, there's a Phantom Man, there's Frankenteen, there's the Mummy, there's Dracula, of course. And they all kind of show up and they talk about how much they love their daughters, and they hang out for a little while, say thank you to Shaggy for helping them win, and then they threaten Shaggy's life if anything happens to their daughters, which is like, bro, he's their gym teacher. What are you expecting to happen?
See you next Halloween.
In the meantime, I want you to take good care of my little Sibella.
You can count on us, Count.
Good, because if anything happens to her, it will be a bad day for you.
That goes for Winnie, too.
Elsa's my pride and joy. Don't let me down.
Take care of Tanis and her friends, or you're going to meet a very mad mummy. Not to mention a foul-tempered phantom.
Bye-bye, guys.
Gee, what a friendly bunch of folks, eh, Uncle Scooby?
He's peeing on me.
So then Revolta hypnotizes Shaggy so that Shaggy will drive them into the middle of a swamp for a field trip, because the headmistress is just like, yeah, guy, you've been their teacher for a week. You can take them on a field trip without me. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. At the same time, the cadets are also having to be going through a trek at that swamp. Who cares? Revolta slowly sends the bats that she used to hypnotize Shaggy, she sends them slowly to each and every single one of the ghouls so that they are all brainwashed to be under her bidding, because she wants to turn them into her evil soldiers or something. And then she'll be the baddest monster because she wants to be even more evil than like Dracula.
I'll have an evil SWAT team to do my bidding.
The world will be in the palm of your hands, Revolta.
So Shaggy and Scooby eventually realize that their students are being abducted, and they end up getting help from the cadets, who are really reluctant to help. Like they see the girls getting kidnapped and they're really reluctant to help them. It's kind of messed up. But they eventually are scared into doing it, essentially. And they help Shaggy and Scooby get to the ghouls, in which they slip into her facility and Scooby dresses like a mummy. He does mummy face, and I think the movie came out in 1989, so it was a different time. You know, now obviously, no mummy face is bad. I think we can all agree that mummy face is bad, and Scooby was wrong for doing it. But I think we're also all adults enough to acknowledge that things were different in '89. Reagan was president? No. Bush 1 was president? One of them was president. Different time. Everybody was all high off the Reaganomics. And all the wealth was trickling down. Still trickling. I'm still waiting. Anyway. They eventually defeat Revolta through a bunch of classic Shaggy and Scooby shenanigans. I would also like to point out, very briefly, there's another threat introduced in which Revolta has a mirror that if you look into it, an evil version of yourself will reflect and jump out and push you into the mirror. And that happens with Shaggy, and he chases Scooby around for a while, and then eventually he's like so tired of all the chasing, and he's like, nah.
Ooh, it's too dangerous out here. Zoinks! It's about time!
It doesn't need to happen. It's weird. But Revolta gets defeated, and the cadets help the ghoul girls escape. And, yeah. It's a happy ending.
They haven't seen the last of Revolta. I still have my broomsticks.
Except no. Then they all go back to the school. Dads show up, and they're all like, "Oh, that was crazy that you all just got kidnapped. Gonna call the police? Guess not." And the headmistress tells Shaggy about the new students they have coming. Then we get a little tease at all these new little girls and their fathers.
Like great party, Miss G?
Oh, I hope the new arrivals think so too.
Huh? Like new arrivals?
Over there. Meet your new students and their parents.
New students? Like meet us in St. Louis? Yeah, real annoying.
To which Shaggy and Scooby are so spooked that they run out and drive away in the different car from the last one. Like that one, the one in the last one wasn't the mystery machine, and this isn't that car either. We're on our third car at this point. And then they drive away, but they do give one last howl to properly say goodbye to their students, who they just abandoned, but whatever.
Look, guys, the girls are waving goodbye. Like, let's give them a real Grimwood goodbye, eh, Scoob? Yeah. Toodaloo-low.
Happy ending. This is worse. This is worse than the Boo Brothers. I don't know. The ghouls, like, they're kind of charming. The cadets are also charming enough. Like, they're pretty interesting characters. I don't know. I just felt like the plot dragged on. Like, I thought the whole thing was going to be about volleyball, and then the volleyball thing ended very fast. Once again, there was no mystery. I'm watching, I want a mystery. I want to be able to solve a mystery that is written so that 10-year-olds could also solve it. And me, as a 20-year-old, when I solve it, I will feel superior to everybody. I just discovered some things about myself. But there's no mystery, and there's a lot of puns in there.
Fantastic.
It's like so many puns.
It's a real howl.
It's like there's so many puns.
Ballet really makes me unwind.
And I didn't like it. There were so many puns.
She'll be down as soon as she wraps things up.
But like, you know, the animation was fine. So many puns.
Thanks a lot, Shaggy.
So many puns.
We're gonna be gone with the wand.
So many puns, man.
Winnie must be playing hide and shriek. I can't find her anywhere.
But ultimately, what did we learn by watching Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School? We learned not to trust ugly four-armed woman named Revolta and her sidekick Creeper. And cadets cheat. So, another car, except this is a race car, because in this one, Shaggy's a race car driver.
A bright young driver named Shaggy maneuvers for the lead in his double dyno turbo blaster.
With his trusty assistant Scooby and Scrappy, and his faithful cheerleader, Googie. Googie, who's his girlfriend. Googie. His girlfriend Googie. The couple, Shaggy and Googie. You know, Shoogie. Or Gaggy. Beautiful couple. In this opening where we're seeing him win this race, which they do through a bunch of cheating, might I add, kind of like the ghouls and the cadets, but whatever. Cheaters prosper. Look at Trump. Look at Putin. That's what I should have said. Anyway. While we're watching this race, you're hearing an announcer. Or at least I thought he was an announcer. But he was actually a narrator. Because then it transitions to Transylvania.
And so, as the Tyler County crowd cheers, our young hero Shaggy accepts the winner's trophy from Cudi. At this exact moment, the scene shifts from a bright, happy race in Tyler County, USA, to darkest, deepest Transylvania, horrific home of the world's most evil menace, Count Dracula, where a meeting of all the monsters of his realm is being held.
The monsters have all had major cosmetic surgery since we last saw them, because they all look very different. One might argue that this is a totally different continuity. I don't want to accept that. So in my headcanon, after Shaggy gave up his Confederate wealth to a bunch of orphan ghosts, he became a gym teacher for a bunch of ghouls and abandoned all those ghouls. And Dracula never forgot that. And then he became a race car driver. And this is where we come back to Dracula. Dracula and all of his monsters are getting ready for their annual race. But they need all the monsters there. Except the werewolf has retired. The wolfman's retired. And they need a wolfman. And they're trying to figure out, well, how do we get somebody to take that slot? And they look in this basically like a dark magic book that they have. And in it, it says that every some amount of years, it's like 200 years or something, you can make a new werewolf. And you do that by looking into the book. And it will say that there is a man who, during this specific 3-night period, if he gets hit by moonlight, he will become a werewolf. They flip to the page and Shaggy's face is just in the book. So that's quite a setup. Shaggy is just destined to become a werewolf. Damn. Warriors won. That's a shame. Wow. Just looked it up. This movie has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Too high. Too high, I say. Way too high. That's what it is. So, Dracula, knowing that he needs Shaggy to get hit by this moonlight, calls upon the perfect team to do so, the Hunch Bunch. Even just uttering the name Hunch Bunch brings shivers to the spines of all the other monsters because the Hunch Bunch is just that terrible.
Bah! The Hunch Bunch will change all that.
Oh no! Not the Hunch Bunch!
Not the Hunch Bunch!
They're so awful!
So horrible!
The Hunch Bunch is 2 hunchbacks. They're brothers, I think, one of which is articulate and the other is not. They're not that terrible, and they're not that scary. I don't know why all these witches and Frankensteins and mummies and what have you were so scared of them, but they were. So we get a couple of failed attempts to get them into the moonlight on the first 2 nights. You know, classic Shaggy and Scooby goofiness. Scrappy's there too.
Come on, come on!
Scooby, let go!
Oh, they're coming through the roof!
The moon is in perfect position.
And then finally, Shaggy and Googie go to a drive-in movie, and Shaggy brings Scrappy and Scooby because Scooby has actually been seeing the Hunch Bunch and has been trying to protect Shaggy from them. But Shaggy and Scrappy have not seen the Hunch Bunch, so they actually think that Scooby's kind of losing his mind. So he brings them to the movie so he can keep an eye on Scooby.
Gee, thanks for taking us on your date with Googie to the drive-in, Shay.
Oh, like confidentially, I don't want to leave your Uncle Scooby home. You know the way he's been seeing things that aren't there lately?
Eventually the Hunch Bunch, they got the moonlight to hit him, and Shaggy turns into a werewolf. But there's a hitch. He had just crushed a gigantic drink of soda, and he gave himself the hiccups, which Googie warned him about. Googie. So something interesting happens with these hiccups. They actually send him back and forth between his werewolf and his human form.
Shaggy, I told you you'd get the hiccups.
I'm gonna level with you. This one is really bad, so I'm gonna just... The Hunch Bunch basically arranged with Dracula for Shaggy to be taken back to Transylvania. He accidentally takes Googie, Scooby, and Scrappy with him. There becomes this whole thing about how he doesn't want to race and he doesn't want to be a werewolf forever, and they basically create this bet that if Shaggy can win the race, then he gets to become a human again and stop racing. There's a mock test. Shaggy's an impeccable race car driver, in case you didn't know, because usually Shaggy doesn't even drive or sit in the front, so none of us would have known that he was not that skilled at driving. So it's not a plot hole. It's not. He's just that good, even as a werewolf. So this version of Dracula is a loser. He's just a loser. Not just like, I mean, he literally keeps losing, but he's also just pathetic. He's a loser. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, now that's funny.
He goes out of his way to try to disadvantage Shaggy, and at every turn it blows up in his face, and Shaggy is able to prevail and triumph because of the teamwork that he engages in with Googie, Scooby, and Scrappy. Shaggy, Googie, Scooby, Shaggy, Scooby, Shaggy, Googie, Scooby, Shaggy, Googie, Scooby, Scrappy. Shaggy, Googie, Scooby, Scrap. Shaggy. The worst thing about this movie is that the race for Shaggy's freedom is like 40 minutes long. It's half of the movie and it just keeps going on and on and on. Dracula keeps trying to cheat to disadvantage Shaggy over and over and over again. And with the help of Googie, Scooby, and Scrappy, Shaggy keeps getting out of it and finding his way back to the head of the pack.
Like this car's engine is nowhere. Take me, Scoob. I'm gonna see if I can climb under the hood and fix it.
Okay.
The monster cars are still totally packed in. But wait, what's this? Oh no, the werewolf wagon comes out of nowhere to take the lead.
And you almost think that he's not gonna make it out until Genghis Kong.
Meet GK. Genghis Kong. Hey, go on.
A King Kong that looks like Genghis Khan is deployed by Dracula to finally put an end to Shaggy's dominance. But somehow anticipating this, Shaggy and Googie in their respective cars. Shaggy was given a really crappy race car by Dracula, so he's not using his car. And Googie's been following him throughout the track to give him a heads up and help him out. That's right. Anyway, this was bad. Anyway, this was bad. Anyway, it was bad. Anyway, anticipating Genghis Kong, both of the cars, one of which isn't even Shaggy's, mind you, so he should not have ever had time to do this, are able to deploy gigantic skateboards that Genghis Khan puts both of his feet perfectly on, accidentally, mind you, and they are able to drive in tandem and then presumably slam their brakes, shooting Genghis Khan forward so he crashes onto all the other monsters in their cars, allowing Shaggy to finally win the race and win his deal with Dracula.
Let's go!
You said it's no big finish coming up.
Shaggy wins!
No!
Sorry.
Except Dracula is like, no, I'm actually not gonna live up to my word because I'm a loser, and he says that he was crossing his fangs.
Trust.
He was wrong. But Dracula has a girlfriend or a wife in this. Give me a sec. I'm very well prepared here. Yes. His girlfriend, Vanapyra. Vanapyra. I guess it's supposed to be kind of like a play on Vampirella? for some reason. She's actually been not alluding, but basically openly admitting that she has this attraction to Werewolf Shaggy throughout the entire movie.
Oh, look, Dracky! That precious Shaggy is way out in front! Oh, he's so cute in his fur!
And she also keeps insulting Dracula, and Dracula also keeps threatening to beat her.
I wish I had a fur. Dracky, honey, will you give me a wrap?
No, you're going to get a rap, all right. Pow to the moon.
But it's cool because he does the honeymooners thing. Vanapyra she gives Shaggy the book, and he's basically able to just read how to undo the curse. He just reads it.
Oogly boogly, wobbly why? No more a werewolf am I. I'm gonna be a normal guy.
Oh, Shaggy!
And yeah, then he turns back human. But it ends on a cliffhanger with Dracula and the Hunchbunch outside of his window, and they say we're back, and it just ends.
We're all through with those werewolves and vampires and monsters forever.
That's what he thinks. We're back!
This was bad. This was bad. It was long. So much of it was just the race, just going on and on and on and on. Oogly boogly why? No more a werewolf am I. I'm going to be a normal guy. So I think back to Empty Nest and the Golden Girls, and I think about how much I did not like that episode. And then I think about especially the last 3 movies I just watched. They feel like backdoor pilots. They keep putting Shaggy and Scooby in these new scenarios and introducing these admittedly unique and somewhat creative, even though a lot of them do feel kind of like they're knocking something off. The Boo Brothers, the Three Stooges, the Ghoul School, the Addams Family, and Reluctant Werewolf Wacky Races. But it feels like they're trying to introduce these concepts and ideas and characters to me. And it feels like they're supposed to be explored further. But the issue is, they're taking these characters that I already know and that I'm already familiar with and that I already know work in a certain environment and story, and putting them in these strange places. So the same way that I didn't care about the Orlises becoming empty nesters, I don't care about the Boo Brothers being orphan ghost, or the Ghoul School and their volleyball contest, or Dracula and his race, his monster relay. Because it all feels like a bunch of somewhat interesting yet still half-baked and also probably knockoff ideas that aren't enhanced by Scooby-Doo and don't serve Scooby-Doo. So why are these Scooby-Doo movies? You might ask. Why does it matter? It doesn't.
where are you? We got